Happy Saturday. Time
The,
to
the
remind us.
27th at 7 Eastern Time, and it's slated to be a 2-hour program, although it can
Recording. Recording. Recording live.
Registry Matters is an independent production. The opinions and ideas here are that of the hosts and do not reflect the opinions of any other organization. If you have a problem with these thoughts, FYP. FYP.
Recording live from FYP Studios East and West.
A problem with these thoughts? FYP.
Recording live from FYP Studios East and West, transmitting across the internet. This is episode 72 of Registry Matters. Happy Saturday, Larry. How are you?
doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I appreciate you joining. Can I introduce you to a new word this week?
I can't wait.
You can't wait. It's kakistocracy.
It's
Excuse me, I didn't say that right. It's kakistocracy. I messed it up. Kakistocracy. Can you imagine what this word would possibly mean?
I've never heard it before.
And we will move right on after I give this definition. But it is a system of government that is run by
Problem with these thoughts? FYP.
Recording live from FYP Studios East and West, transmitting across the internet. This is episode 72 of Registry Matters. Happy Saturday, Larry. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I appreciate you joining. Can I introduce you to a new word this week?
I can't wait.
You can't wait?
Registry Matters. FYP.
Recording live from FYP Studios East and West, transmitting across the internet. This is episode 72 of Registry Matters. Happy Saturday, Larry. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I appreciate you joining.
Recording live from FYP Studios East and West, transmitting across the internet. This is episode 72 of Registry Matters. Happy Saturday, Larry. How are you? Doing fine. Thank you for having me. Oh, you're very welcome. I appreciate you joining. Can I introduce you to a new word this week? I can't wait. You can't wait? It's kakistocracy. Excuse me, I didn't say that right. It's kakistocracy. I messed it up. Kakistocracy. Can you imagine what this word would possibly mean? I've never heard it before. And we will move right on after I give this definition. But it is a system of government that is run by the worst, least qualified, and most unscrupulous citizens. I don't know. The word just showed up. Someone sent it to me, and it just seemed to resonate, and I liked it. I've never heard it before, so I'll try to remember it. Please do. Try to use that in a sentence just randomly. That's kind of like the medulla oblongata or whatever it was. Yes, the medulla oblongata, which is the little nut-sized piece of your brain that's the fight or flight part of your brain. I certainly can remember that one. That'll be at the tip of my tongue tomorrow. I was talking to one of our listeners. He regularly sends us questions, and he said that there was a bill that was moving in through Tennessee that is going to increase, I don't know if it was residency, work, or presence restrictions. I'm not sure how Tennessee set up, but he said that they're going to increase the restrictions from 1,000 to 2,000 feet. And the reason that they are doing this is to keep there from being mass migrations of registrants from a stricter state to a more lenient state. I'm familiar with the concept. And he was happy to share with me. He said he was going to channel his inner Larry, and he said, well, what's the problem? We can't have these predators invading our borders. The only reasonable thing to do is make our laws less desirable than Alabama's, and by golly, that's what we're going to do. Does that sound like you? That would certainly be a position of some lawmakers in Tennessee. They would say that when people move to other states, rather than Tennessee, people would tend to gravitate. Rather than Tennessee, people would tend to gravitate to there. And same thing can happen to Georgia, but that's not an uncommon reaction for people that don't want an invasion. I mean, we hear that from the White House. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This has just all been an evolution of my understanding that you think that we're the United States and we just sort of have like one set of laws, but that is like so far from the truth that each state gets to do not all that they want to do, but they can do what they want to do. Do what they can do, the things that are not exclusively within the federal domain. Yeah, that's a lot of things. That's a lot of things. We did get an email message from JP, no idea, but he says, my town is all abuzz via Facebook about this sex offender, Shriek, who got out of Vermont State Prison last week and is now moving to my town after 2
email that we received during the week.
And again, if we didn't have a sex offender registry, this wouldn't be happening. Would offender or whatever offender, a gang offender. If you started relocating them in this is what it causes. Or whatever offender, a gang offenders. By golly, I'm gonna pull. Recent one that happens regularly, but
I know. This was I think it was a recent one. I was just scrolling through Twitter and I saw some large.
I mean, they need to follow the commands of the officer, and these officers go out there and put their lives on the line. They don't that people.
All right, then. Well, here's a... Sure. All right, then. Well...
No say-so on what goes on in Tennessee. Democrats have no say-so on what goes on in Tennessee.
Sure.
Well, lock them up.
We could put them all on the registry, and then if everybody's on the registry, then nobody's on the registry. It doesn't matter.
You're old enough to do an adult crime. You're old enough to do the time. So if you're going to fool
Yeah.
around having sex,
From school, kind of, sort of... Yeah, it seems kind of unfair that, granted, you did something to put yourself inside, and now all of the laws could change to make life worse for you, but now that you're behind, you have no say in how those things change.
yep, that's a compelling argument. But on the other hand, you say, for example, a prison's located in a small town. Just hypothetically, that the town has a population of 300, and they put it out in the middle of nowhere, and you've got 500 prisoners in there, and they get to vote. They get to vote. They get to vote on the politics of the town.
Yep. And doesn't that sway the census data, like inside the state, that, hey, now there's 3,000 people that live in that town, and that gives them more election power in the state?
It very much does, because they're counted where they're living. They take correctional census data on Census Day on April 1st. Next year, they'll count the people that are incarcerated.
And what's the argument from DC's point of view, the taxation without representation? I mean, isn't that what that is to the utmost extreme?
Well, what taxation are you paying when you're in prison?
Well, no, but I mean, just like the whole concept is all of the things, but you can't have a say in it. But they're doing they're getting more funding for schools. They're doing all these things because you are, quote unquote, living there, but you don't have a... Well, no, I
Data on Census Day. We're ready for that.
Yeah.
We're still fighting to restore people after they've done their debt to society and paid their debt.
Right, no doubt.
So I think that, if anything, that is a platform. If it gets into a platform plank in the Democratic Party, it'll seem more of a radical position and it'll be used to say this is how radical those people are, and it'll be used as a demonizing. You see it coming. If the Democratic Party would have put that in a national platform in 2020, you'd hear a lot of demonization about, oh, they won't even have people in prison voting. They're so desperate to win votes that they're giving the vote to the convicts. And of course, I don't believe the votes would go that way. I believe the votes would be equally divided, or more so going towards the conservatives. But that's not what they would say.
Well, I would point out, definitely take a look at the show notes and grab the link to the Vox article that is in there, because we do get asked on a halfway regular basis, oh, well, what do you want me to do? I can't vote, blah, blah, blah. Well, take a look at the show notes and grab the link to the Vox article. You can.
Well, in the overwhelming majority of the states, if you've paid your debt to society, you can vote.
Right, and only in places like Florida, where they've carved our people out, aren't allowed to vote.
So, but yeah, the overwhelming majority of the people.
Right, and only in places like Florida, where they've carved our people out, aren't allowed to vote.
So, but yeah, the overwhelming majority of the people who fully discharge their obligations can vote. And
it up for you to where you can see where you're coming from and if you're allowed to vote or not. Under, but sort of down, under, and then over?
I think this is out of Australia.
That what it is? Well, all right,
yeah.
Fine then.
So
Australia nonetheless. Then it is down under.
Yep.
And really, I didn't even want to stick here for very long, but what this representative independent state candidate, Hetty Johnston, wants she wants a mandatory 2-strike policy. She says, like, the registry doesn't make any that they've made a mistake. So let's not spend a whole bunch of money on this idea of a registry. I think she says, so we're going to spend $8 million. I'm not sure why we're spending it on something that does not, or excuse me, why we're not spending it on something that does work. I don't know. Just wanted to bring it up to show that there are people out there, granted this is in another country, but there are people out there that are seeing the light that the registry is kind of pointless.
Yes, and this is one of those things where it sounds really good that she's against the registry, but she's also a hardliner. So in all other regards, you would disagree with her probably.
Because that could be true. Yeah, sure.
2 strikes, you're out. To me, is archaic thinking. So she's one of those where your heart begins to palpitate because she says one thing that you like. It's kind of like our syndicated columnist is based in Albuquerque, which I won't say her name, but once out of every 20 columns, she writes something very good. But she's a victim's advocate. She's strong victim's advocate. She's for abolishing the statute of limitations. She's for doing everything that would make anybody. But then she'll like the broken clock twice a day. It does something right. It gets the time correct. She'll write something that makes sense, and people just start going bananas about, oh, she said wonderful thing. Yeah. But in the meantime, she's trying to do all these bad things that are bad public policy. And, well, that's the same thing with this. This elected official would probably not be someone you'd want to align yourself with, except for on this one issue.
Right. Well, we should all be single-issue voters, man. We should all be single-issue voters.
Yeah, if she's willing to say that the registry is no good, you align yourself with this, and then you run quickly as you can away from this person, because most everything else you're going to disagree on.
Yeah. Moving on to an article from... Yeah. Moving on to an article from M-Call. The Morning Call is what it actually is. Morning less of it. So I'm pretty sure that if somehow things were designed in a different way, there would be a lot less of it. You cannot criminalize this. And the more you criminalize it, the more underground it goes, then the more risk there would be associated with it, the more potential disease spreading that would go along with it, abuse and violence. Hey, let me tell you this story. So while I was in one of the treatments, I can't remember if I think Hey, let me tell you this story. So while I was in one of the treatments, I can't remember if it. I think it was while.
Not surprised.
Yep. How about we cover an article from. I don't really necessarily want to rehash it, but the recent Supreme Court decisions regarding executions and people that are claiming to have either differences of religions and then wanting to have their religious leader in there, or people that are having these medical conditions that would make the standard way of doing the execution incredibly painful. And the Supreme Court has been woefully inconsistent in their rulings, allowing some, not allowing others, in what would on the surface sort of seem like the situations are very similar, if not identical. And I'm really puzzled by this one, and I'm kind of angry about it. People do horrible things and we then sentence them to death, and I can't really see why we would then go, nope, sorry, you either get to die in extreme punishment or your religious leader can't be there at your side. I just can't see why we are such assholes about this particular subject.
Well, it looks like on the death, the religious leaders, it looks like that the timeliness was what they hung their hat on. Was that the one where they denied the stay was submitted only 10 days or so, or 5 days before,
Right.
and then the other one where they granted the stay out of Texas, there was a lot more advance notice. I guess what the Supreme Court might be saying is that we're not.
We've had Gorsuch for a couple years now, and
Yes,
I don't know any other way to put it. I just don't.
but people, idea if we let people drive at 15, but that's not their role to do that. That's your role to do that.
Right, right. And my point, the individuals, the 320, 30 million of us, that we can go make these changes. Not that it's easy, but we have.
It's what we've chosen to impose on ourselves.
Let's see if I can word this way. We have won the
Trampling
fair.
the Constitution. There are certain things we
Right. Right. And the only thing that I in that is in the grand. So I'm kind. He
And
yeah.
the fact of the matter is, when you buy a car, I don't know of a state that doesn't register them. So there's a pretty good track record on car sales. We keep those from
Fair enough.
dealerships, and that's one of the things you're not going to have a lot of leeway on. You're just not, because. Well, there are none.
I don't under. That's fascinating. Let's flip the tape, Larry. That's fascinating. Let's flip the tape, Larry. Let's flip the. And 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 as far as I know, this will be the last article, except for that decision. Is that where we are? Is that right?
Well,
I think it is.
well, I see the plea bargain article. I see the stringer fallout in Arizona of representative that had to resign.
Oh, let's go there. Okay, sorry, I didn't get all of them opened all the way then.
I see.
So let's go to the.
I see the what is that? Sandwich sex offender jailed after cops learn he has new. Oh, that we already did that one. Duh.
We just did that one.
So
well, in Arizona, this is kind of funny. I sort of did that one.
so
We just did that one. Well, in fascinating. That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
Ready to be a part of succeed. You make it possible.
Well, in Arizona, okay. So
It was introduced and it was moving. It just stopped moving.
okay, yeah, you're right, right.
So the legislation that would make more people eligible to have their names removed from Arizona Registry ended up being a casualty because of the allegations led David Stringer to resign from the Arizona House of Representatives. But the bill has been, this reminds me of the California tiering removal process. This legislation has gotten so contaminated by all the victims advocates and law enforcement that in some ways it's actually making the situation worse. People that would be eligible, for example, under the existing removal process now have to wait till they're 35 years old had this bill not died. So they actually raise the requirements in some cases. This is an example of when you get all the people at the table and then you listen more to law enforcement than you do anybody else, you end up with bad legislation. But this bill here, from the folks I've talked to in Arizona, they said that it would do very little for anybody.
Okay. So then ultimately it's not really that big a deal that it has stopped.
It's not that big a deal, but it doesn't bode well for future reform if something dies that easily, because the guy was adjudicated, I guess, decades ago, and then he had his stuff expunged and he was fully restored. And I think it's out of the state of Maryland, if I remember right.
Correct.
1983 in Maryland, so 36 years ago. Well, certainly we can't forget about that.
I know, and I mean, he looks older than dirt. He could have still been like 60 years old when this happened in Maryland. He looks pretty old, and I'm being kind of a jerk, but so he sexual abuse with a minor who is at least 15 years. No, that's not even right. These were very. I don't want to rehash the guy's crime and all that, but have you seen that this happens like this, where someone has some sort of, I mean, pretty far in the past, checkered past, and that stops a bill from moving?
I can't say that I've seen that, but I don't find it to be that unusual. I mean, to me, that would be it wouldn't be shocking to me that why would
when this happened in Maryland? He looks pretty old, and I'm being kind of a jerk, but so. I don't want to rehash the guy's crime. You've covered this on a number of occasions, that if we wanted to stop, I go to the next one. That's how I ended up skipping. All right. Well. What I don't know if you know this, but so I have them all open in tabs, and I click on the tab as we're going to it, and then we end up getting sidetracked, and I think that I'm already on that article, so I go to the next one. That's how I ended up skipping the Terry Gross article. From NPR and from... all right. Well... all right. From NPR and from this would be WHYY, I think is where Terry Gross comes out of, and it's called Fresh Air. And she did a big long interview. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but in reading the text, the title is Charged, explains how prosecutors and plea bargains drive mass incarceration. Name up there, or the Attorney General. No, DA?
Yeah.
DA, right?
Yep.
Larry Krasner, is that right?
Something like that.
And, we have 2.5 political career.
Well, so
That sounds so bothered by this.
Well, now you don't think a prosecutor would charge an innocent person, do you?
I know that we have a significant number of people that have been exonerated for various reasons. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that happens.
Do you think they know?
Also covered the God, I can never say that word first to go around. Prosecutorial misconduct where they withhold evidence. So it probably happens in a significant minority of situations, but they do withhold evidence to incarcerate somebody to get justice for the victim from some side, but not necessarily the right person.
Well, I'm putting on my Jones-colored glasses. Right now.
Inside joke, right?
I would not. A prosecutor deliberately prosecuting someone that they know is innocent. I've not seen a lot of that I can think of. I believe that they believe in their heart based on what the police have told them, because the police do such fine work that thorough job that they think that the person did it, and then that they get in their desire to put that person away to get justice, because they've got the media hounding them, they've got the victim's advocate hounding them, they've got the family, they've got the friends of the important people saying we've got to put this guy away. They sometimes become overzealous and skirt the rules of ethical conduct. Well, aren't they the same?
You want to go to the Pennsylvania thing?
Well, aren't they the same? Oh, no, they're not the same. Duh. See, I told you I have old timers.
I'm like, man, I sure don't want to ask you that. No, that was from Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to go over? You only sent this to me like 10 seconds before we started recording, so I have no experience with this Commonwealth versus Felix the Cat.
I don't understand why 15 seconds before airtime is not sufficient. What?
And actually, it's not even Felix. It's Feliz. F-E-L-I-Z. Feliz. Feliz.
Well, what is the problem with your prep time? 15 seconds is not sufficient?
I'm not a speed reader, man.
Well,
Come on.
Well, we received
If there were a summary, I could go over that part.
we received this Thursday. I did from Hank, and thank you, Hank, as always, for sending good stuff to us. And it's a decision regarding GPS monitoring in this the highest court in Massachusetts. And we're beginning to see a building body of case law on GPS monitoring and the excessive use of it. And this is another one to add to the arsenal of what they're doing in Massachusetts is requiring, if you have a particular type of conviction, the statute requires the GPS. It's a statutory requirement, and there's no particularized findings. And this decision, building on the Supreme Court's decision and Grady, U.S. Supreme Court's decision and North Carolina, the Grady decision, and then subsequently North Carolina courts applied Grady to say that you needed to have an individualized finding. This is basically mimicking what they did in North Carolina, saying that if you're going to put a GPS on a person, there has to be a particularized, there has to be a process, they have to be afforded due process and given a particularized findings of why that's necessary. So this could result in, I think they said, with 3,900 people on GPS monitoring in Massachusetts, this could result in a significant diminishment of of the number of people being monitored by GPS that are under supervision. It's a great day. For it's not such a good day to be in the GPS business though, but it's a great day for the offenders who are just arbitrarily having these things attached to their bodies. And I resent saying you have to wear it. You don't wear it. You put your watch on in the morning and you wear it. You put your clothes on, but a GPS is attached to you. It's not something that you take on and off each day.
We could go back in the archive, and we did an interview with one of our listeners that had GPS monitoring, and she said that it left like an indentation. I mean, I guess, like if you wear a ring for a long period of time, you end up with like a little cutout in your finger. So she was saying that the leg monitor left indentations. It gets irritated underneath it. There's all kinds of just garbage things, and so GPS monitoring does that for you, which is awesome.
Well, this is we had a similar decision out of the Georgia Supreme Court on this is probably crushing to you to see that they're not able to just willy-nilly put these devices on people because and make sure it curtails your liberty. But the Massachusetts Supreme Court said that these people are going to get hearings and they're going to get due process, and it's a great thing. And it actually is Feliz, Commonwealth versus Feliz.
Yeah, Feliz. Yep. Feliz Navidad. So it's Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's Christmas in Massachusetts in this decision.
And we can give a shout out to Eric Tennant, who was involved in the case, who's an Arsol connection attorney. He's spoken at our conferences, at least one or two of them.
Okay.
He's been with us.
Before my time, I believe.
Well, if you say so.
I mean, it wasn't in the Atlanta or the Ohio conferences.
It was in Dallas. It was in Dallas.
See, before my time. Mm-hmm. Before my time. Is there anything else that we need to know about this bill? Is there anything else that you want to go over? I know it's like, 60 pages, and you read most of it?
I read it, and it's 36 pages, and I made a few highlights in it like I did last week that people might want to look at. So we're gonna attach it to the show notes, right?
I will do that for sure. I will do that. Oh, and let me cover that. You pointed out, I totally forgot. I didn't stop making. I totally forgot. I didn't stop making time markings. I was just, I edited the podcast on Sunday, and I said, God, this didn't take me nearly as long. And then a couple of days later, you said, hey, where are the time markings? You didn't put those on anymore? I'm like, just forgot. There's also a transcript that I do, and last week's episode will get uploaded here in a few minutes. So I just forgot. So there's a reminder also, if you want a transcript of the thing, you can get that too, of the podcast. Pretty much every episode I get a transcription done.
But you have old timers from time to time.
It does happen. I get too involved with so many other things and rush through, and I don't have a checklist and so forth.
Well, I guess one other point to make on this is that since the U.S. Supreme Court said that beyond all doubt, they said, I think per Q, I think all 9 justices had the you walked across to the probation department, and they said, sign this contract. And they said that, on that same page, the fact that the defendant will narrow down some of the points of the case.
And you said something earlier, and I want you to cover it again. If you said that we're building a body of case law against, I think, going of all these different expansions of registration requirements and restrictions. Can you go over that again?
Well, we're building the registry is one of the things that we'd like to see end, but that's not going to happen, because each time there's a decision that gets cited to in other decisions. If you read this decision out of Massachusetts, they cite to South Carolina, North Carolina, the U.S. Supreme Court, to the body of case law that helps them come to their decision. So, and now we've got another highest court of the state of Massachusetts we can throw in the mix when we do another case about GPS monitoring. We can say, and Massachusetts saw it the same way. So the body of case law is building in terms about GPS monitoring. We can say, and of the excesses of the registry,
outstanding.
But the silver bullet is not there. And I always make myself unpopular when I tell people there's no magic silver bullet going to end the registry. They're going to end the registry.
Well, speaking of that, then here we are with the Pennsylvania situation where they kind of struck down the registry, and they're going to try and come back around and take another bite of the apple. This article is from the Collateral Consequences Resource Center, and this is the title of the article is "The Pennsylvania High Court Will Review Sex Offender Registration." That last number I heard was something like 17,000 people were going to come off the registry, and I think we've played clips from various politicians along the way that are like, we can't lose track of all of these people, and so they're going to do it again, aren't they?
Well, this is sort of a different slant. This is the big decision in Pennsylvania was Commonwealth versus Munez, decided in 2018. And that case presented two questions of whether people committed their crimes before the adoption of the new law could be required to register without violating the state constitution's ex post facto clause. And that was the only question of the two that was answered. And then the second part was whether the law more broadly violates due process by unfairly labeling a person as sexually dangerous without first providing that fact, giving them opportunity to challenge that presumption. And
right. What will they do? What will they do to speed up that, to make that more efficient? Go back to what Alaska had back in the day.
Back in the day, yes.
Which is where all these shenanigans start of no driver, because sure, and maybe both. I think we should do that.
Because
you can play not nice with me then.
So, yeah,
I will see you at the conference. How's that? Brenda, can you? She.
I don't know. I think we need to unmute a person from Maryland and see if she can explain it.
Is there a difference
I
there?
don't know. I think we need to unmute a person from Maryland and see if she can explain it.
She may revolt if I do this. Brenda, can you speak to any differences with the Commonwealth? Is there something such a thing? Uh-oh. Yeah, she wants. I think she wants to remain quiet. All right. Well, you can play not nice with me then.
So, yeah,
I will see you at the conference. How's that?
there went your pay.
I know, right? Well, that's all we got on this show. There is something coming up on next Thursday. So a week, almost 2 weeks from here we are recording. What's going on?
Well, NARSL in action after having several months of no conference calls. We're gonna do one on the 27th of April at 7 Eastern time, and we're going to be talking about a fabulous decision out of Illinois regarding the keeping people in prison after they've served their time. And that's
which is what we covered last week on the podcast. But you're going to have the attorney on, right?
We're going to have one of the attorneys on. We're going to have Adele Nicholas, and that's a litigation machine. Her and Mark Weinberg, they filed a
All right. Well, while you're talking to the attorney, I'm going to be pushing all the buttons and sliding all the things and making everything work to connect everybody and doing the live stream. So it's a team effort.
It should be a great program, and I think it'll be worth your while to tune in and listen to it. But how did?
And that's next Thursday. What date and at what time?
Remind and listen to it.
And that's next Thursday. What date and at what time?
The 27th at 7 Eastern time, and it's slated to be a 2-hour program, although it can expand because I'm looking at adding another topic. So it's possibly going to expand.
Outstanding. Well, very good.
And how do people support us here at the podcast and contact us?
We would adore it. Share it with all of the people. Share it far and wide, trying to grow the numbers. I would rather have more people download and listen to it than any other metric, but share it far and wide. We would adore it. We can go out to dinner a couple times a month, and just makes life a little easier.
It does, and we're going to grow this thing to 1,000 patrons within the year.
4477.
Let's make sure we get that number because we didn't get a phone call this week, and I need a phone call every episode.
747-227-4477.
And we've gotten some really good calls lately.
We have. We have. And I shouldn't even say this, but somebody did call. I just didn't play it.
Aha.
So there's that. I have those powers. I censored, so shoot me.
Well, I have a feeling it probably went too long, or was not audio broadcast quality, or one of the two, or both.
Yeah. And so with that, Larry, that's all I got. And I so very much appreciate it. And I hope you have a great night.
Well, thanks everyone for we've got a full house in Discord right now.
There is a full house of Discord, and there's a lot of chatter. It's hard to keep up with.
So there's dozens of them in there.
There are a lot. So have a great night, Larry, and I will talk to you soon.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for joining us here at FYP, and we hope you will join us again on our next broadcast.
soon.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us here at FYP, and we hope you will join us again on our next broadcast.
FYP.
Recording live from FYP Studios.
FYP.
Recording live from FYP Studios East and West, transmitting across the internet.